Call the January 24th, 2022 meeting of the General Forum to order. Would you kindly join me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Snowy good evening to you. Feels a little bit like winter out there, doesn't it? Public comment. Anyone would like to comment that's on the topic that's not on the agenda? Yes, Betsy. Oh, okay. Put your hand down and I'll get you. Other than that one I see no public comment. Okay. Item 3, newly elected official introductions. Call on the chairs of the various municipalities to introduce their new member. Rich, Stone Top College Township.
Yes, Mr. Chair, it's my pleasure to introduce you to Dustin Best, second row, dead center. Good looking fella right there, huh? Okay. We're looking forward to doing great things with Dustin in 2022.
Thank you. Ferguson Township, Laura is chair.
No, I think Lisa Strickland is.
Lisa, you ready to do intros? For Ferguson?
Sure, I'd be happy to. Joining us are Hillary Caldwell and Tiara Williams as our new supervisors.
Welcome.
Everybody's waiting.
I don't know if Mr. Servino was on.
He is.
Mr. Piper.
Yeah. Maybe Bob should.
I believe our new chair, Pamela Robb, will be introducing our new member.
Okay. Pam?
Thank you, Dan. We are welcoming Sutan Bruder as our new chair, Board of Supervisor to Patton Township. Hello, Sutan.
Must be well liked. I saw a lot of clapping hands, so welcome. Jesse, the State College Borough, please.
Okay, I have 4 people to introduce in no particular order, except the one that's printed here. Gopal Balachandran, Divine Lipscomb, and Richard Beaver are 3 new council members, and we also have a new mayor, Ezra Names.
Hello, wonderful COG. Great to see all of you.
A lot of waving hands on that group too, so welcome to the General Forum. Next item is COG meeting adequate. Eric, please.
Thank you and welcome to all of the new elected officials. My name is Eric Nornberg. I'm the COG Executive Director, and one of the things we do each January is to remind ourselves of our guidelines and expectations for each other and ourselves as we conduct our meetings with good etiquette and inclusivity. So in 2018, the COG adopted some guidelines for our meetings, and that resolution was in your packet along with other information, and it's also available on our website so that any member of the public is able to access that information. But quickly like to review a few of the items that are shown on the screen tonight. First of all, the COG is committed to an environment in which all individuals are treated with respect and dignity, and that we ensure that everyone has the right to participate in meetings conducted with a professional atmosphere that promotes equal opportunities to be heard and to participate in the decision-making process. We also like to conduct our meetings efficiently so that the time spent is considered to be a great investment by everyone. We promote participation in democracy through polite, civil, and respectful behavior during our meetings. To accomplish that, we follow the code of conduct. Some of the items are listed here, including respect for the chair and his or her role in facilitating our meetings. We treat everyone with respect and courtesy. We ask everyone to not make negative remarks about any individual or any municipality. Try to keep our discussion focused on the agenda and the topic at hand. We ask people not to interrupt and please wait your turn. Those participating in our hybrid meetings like we are conducting tonight, we use the raised hand function, both in Zoom or if you can't get to that, raise your physical hand and we'll try and catch you and alert the chair if the chair doesn't see the raised hand. We ask everybody to be concise and clear, keep discussion focused, stick to the facts, provide evidence when appropriate, and respect the decisions made by the committee or board, even if you disagree with it. So finally, we have the aspirations and expectations for everyone to come to our meetings prepared by reviewing materials ahead of time, and we post all of our electronic materials on SharePoint, and those are available in advance of meetings and archived so that people can review those materials afterwards if necessary. Recognize that all issues and ideas are important, appreciate that there may also be differences of opinion. We encourage people to participate actively and listen actively, keeping an open mind, remaining objective, and being patient with the process and with each other. And also finally be aware that body language, both what is seen here in the room for those participating here, but also on Zoom, those body language characteristics can send a silent message, so we ask everybody to be aware of that both in person and via Zoom. So with that, I'll wrap up and answer any questions if there are any, but if not, we encourage you throughout the year to remind yourselves of these guidelines. Thank you.
Questions of Eric? Good, thank you. Nomination, COG articles of agreement. Eric, once again.
Sure. Just quickly to remind everyone of the responsibilities of the general forum as outlined in our articles of agreement. They're printed in your agenda packet, but I'll review them very quickly. The key items are to annually install officers, to adopt a budget for the next fiscal year, to resolve any membership and participation questions, to act on any articles of agreement or amendments to articles of agreement when necessary, to act on proposals to initiate, continue, to modify, or to discontinue any programs or functions of the COG, to appoint or dismiss the executive director, to appoint a solicitor when necessary, and to adopt personnel policies, position classification plan, and the employee evaluation program. Finally, to ratify any local emergency or disaster emergency declaration as defined by the joint articles of agreement for the Regional Emergency Management Program. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Questions? Sorry, too quiet this evening. Thank you. Nominations of officers, there's a motion attached to this. Oh, sorry.
I'd like to move that we appoint Rich Frank as chair and Jesse Barlow as vice chair of the Center Region Council of Governments being January 24, 2022, ending in January of 2023.
Motion by Bud, we have a second.
Second.
Betsy?
Yes.
Is that Betsy? Okay. Questions, discussion? We can't go this smoothly at a transition to, no, someone has to raise a question. No? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Well,
What did you do?
Sorry about that.
I will apologize in advance to my wife Ronnie. If I wasn't away enough time before, I'll probably be away a little bit more now. That could be a good or a bad thing. At this point, I would very much like to express the Center Region and the COG's appreciation to Mr. Haymeister for his year as chair of this august body. He's led us through challenging times. 2021 we thought was going to be so much better than 2020, but it had its own ups and downs, and we appreciate your friendship and leadership throughout that. If you would, do you have anything to share with the members?
Just some brief thoughts. Actually, there are comments of thanks. I'd like to thank our residents. We elected officials in the Center Region represent your interest in regional government and strive to provide cost-efficient and effective programs, and we do this well. Thanks to myself, my fellow Center Region elected officials for being cooperative and understanding in 2021. Thanks to the Executive Committee for your assistance in decision-making. Not always in total agreement, but we were successful. Thanks to the great COG staff for your assistance in implementing hybrid technology to link our COG meetings to our residents. We need to thank our staff, for without them, without their technical help, many 2021 meetings might not have been conducted. I need to thank my wife as she tolerated my hip replacement in September and chauffeured me to Harris Township meeting and COG meetings. So, from an accomplishment perspective, I would point to our hybrid technology equipment that allowed COG to carry on without skipping a beat. Where's that come from? Is that our technology?
That's our technology.
This is the Gong Show.
Okay. We moved forward with the Whitehall Regional Park and awarded bids for initial construction. Let's move forward and now begin implementing improvements to the John Hess softball complex, more than 12 years in the making. We were successful in consolidating two committees and have a new land use and community infrastructure called Lucy. Thank you for your support and good luck in 2022.
Denny made a special request that his recognition gift be books that were needed by the library and would serve the needs of library patrons. So with some advice from his wonderful wife Brenda, staff at Schlo selected some special books in Denny's honor. And to tell us more about those, we have our library director, Lisa Collins.
That's why Brenda was so quiet one. Now she's so funny.
Now let the fun begin here. So Denny, we want to thank you for your leadership as chair, and these titles have been carefully selected to honor you. Now, if you search our library catalog for Dennis Haymeister, these titles, as well as a few others, are going to come up. So I'm going to start off with the first one that we have here. This first title represents your role in consistently highlighting and celebrating the unique characteristics of the Center Region. This is an updated edition of Backroads and Byways of Pennsylvania by David Langlib, and it takes us down country roads through lush farmland vistas and into bustling cities and small towns. It sounds an awful lot like our region's backyard. Moving on to Woodworking. We have Woodworking. It is 41 projects, the complete step-by-step guide to skills, techniques, and projects. And this represents the methodical process you led us through in the past year as COG continues to work together. And I should note that this book is a valuable tool both for serious amateurs and professionals alike. So we have some fun there for sure. Now we're getting really serious here. we have the How to Train Your Dad by Gary Paulsen. And it says at the top, can you teach a new dog, can an old dog learn new tricks? The son in this humor-filled adventure adopts the principles outlined in a randomly discovered puppy training pamphlet to change his dad's mindset. And we offer this title to thank you for your effort as chair to encourage everyone to see things from each other's perspective. We can all learn some new tricks there. And finally, rounding out the selections, we have the classic Jop and Blip want to know, can you hear a penguin fart on Mars? And other excellent questions. In this hilarious new graphic novel series from author Jim Benton, Jop and Blip prove that everything is worth knowing. And you know, that's really the perfect title because you led with humor and you encouraged questioning and you encouraged learning. So we want to thank you, Denny, so much for your service as chair. And we've got a few more books that you'll see when you look up your name on the SCLO catalog. So thank you for everything that you've done. We really appreciate it.
Oh, good one. The vegetable garden pest. Good. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you. As we launch into this new year, one of the accomplishments that Denny didn't mention is that the COG adopted a mission and a vision statement. On your screen is the current mission statement. Center Region Council of Governments supports the residents who live, work, and play in the diverse communities that make up the Center Region by providing cost-effective, consistent, and high-quality public services. Our vision statement: the Center Region Council of Governments will continue striving to have a positive impact on the quality of life of those living, working, and playing in the Center Region by maximizing the benefits of shared services through municipal partnerships. I ask and challenge all of you to work with me towards accomplishing all of our mission and our vision statement. In addition, we adopted a set of values, a set of goals, and last but not least, a set of goals. You will find those on the Center Region Council of Governments website under About COG. Please visit them. Moving on to our agenda. Are there any new agenda items to add to this evening's agenda? Mr. Graham?
So I was talking about the minutes, never mind.
Oh, okay, very good. Again, going to anyone else, any new agenda items to add to this evening's agenda? Seeing nor hearing none, I will welcome you to the Center Region Council of Governments' first ever consent agenda. Most of you have worked a consent agenda in your individual municipalities, but this will be COG's first opportunity to do those. This is part of several tweaks that Eric and I are working on to try towards a goal of not faster meetings. Fast is like cheap, not always the best value. Our goal is efficient, with all being heard, good discussions, and clear action. A couple of things that you'll have seen, the agenda summary, you saw that in your invite email. You'll also see that on page 2 of the complete agenda. That agenda summary will be available here for people who come to visit the COG general meeting in person. We'll keep going. Feedback is appreciated. Constructive feedback is appreciated. We'll keep going, hopefully in the right direction. And if we're not, please keep us accountable and let us know. Without further ado, the consent agenda for tonight, for January 24th, 2022, is the approval of the minutes from the November 22nd, 2021 General Forum meeting, a Act 537 Facilities Plan Special Study for the Calder Way and Atherton Street Sewer Maintenance, which is being remanded to the individual municipalities for action. CA3 is a resolution 2022-1 record disposition. CA4 is the confirmation of Alpha Fire Company command officers, which are listed in your agenda. CA5 is the reappointment of Center Region Fire Marshals, which are also listed in your agenda. CA6 is the appointment of the Center Region Assistant Fire Marshal. CA7 is the general forum meeting dates. And that's what we have in this evening's consent agenda. Would anyone like any of those items pulled for further discussion before, if not, we will accept the motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'd not like to pull particularly, but I would like to add to CA4. In the past, we have listed the officers of the Bollesburg Fire Company, and that is because part of our company covers a section of College Township. So we could either list them somehow or just pass it on to our general public. It's an FYI kind of issue. Thank you.
So if it would be agreeable, we'll work to make sure that that's part of every future reorganization. Elliot, I see your hand. You're muted, Elliot.
Where's Elliot? Oh, there he is.
Wanted to move the motion and also commend the chair and the executive director for adopting this idea.
Very good. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Very good. We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Mr. Marshall, is that a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir.
Marshall, is that a second?
Second.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Okay. Any further discussion?
Okay, who do we need to mute? Peter. Okay.
Who do we need to mute?
Okay. We have a motion and we second. We have a motion discussion. I will call the question.
Further discussion? I will call question.
Elliot, do you have another question?
No, I need to mute.
Oh, mute. Okay. Handle that, Scott. If there are no further discussion, we'll call the question. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no and mute.
All those opposed, please say no and mute.
Patty Stevens.
Sorry, there's some echo from the general forum room, so we're hearing everything twice.
No.
How is it right now?
How is it right now?
I think there was an issue. Make sure if you are attending remotely that your speakers are turned down or you're wearing headphones. That tends to help with any feedback issues.
So the summary of that, Patty, is it wasn't here.
Wonderful.
There's a lot of people on tonight and we're getting a little feedback off of those. Help us by keeping muted unless recognized to speak. Thank you. Moving on in the agenda, we have a presentation from Mount Nittany Medical Center, Mr. Tom Charles.
Okay, well, good evening, everybody. I'll do a quick check. Can everybody hear me okay? Is my audio coming through? All right, okay.
Yes.
If there's any problem, please let me know. So I want to start out with a number of thank yous. First of all, thank you to this group for giving me the opportunity to come and give you an update. We really are the community's healthcare system. So it's vitally important that we have opportunities to update you on what's going on and answer your questions, be accessible to you. So thank you for the chance to do that. Second, thank you to those of you who've been involved in making our local communities and municipalities run for a long time. Thank you for all your service. And to those of you who are just beginning the journey, thanks to all of you as well. We can't be the caliber of community and region we are without involved engaged people in local leadership. And so thank you very much for your service. I'm honored to have the chance to talk to you a little bit. So I am going to share my screen, and again, I'll just check and see if my slides are coming through okay. Can everybody see these?
Yep.
Are they coming through? Okay, very good. Well, then I'll just start and give you an update on how things are going with the health system, and especially with this extraordinary stretch of time that we've been in now for almost 2 years with the COVID pandemic. I'll try to make my comments brief and to the point. I was noting Eric's admonitions about good ways to conduct business, and I thought, we could learn a few things from all of those ground rules if we followed them ourselves in our own meetings. So I'll try to be good. And I would like to start out by saying that I'm here on behalf of our team. We have an extraordinary team of people that work at Mount Nittany Health, our frontline caregivers, everybody else across the health system. And I'm really here on their behalf to communicate what's going on, to thank you for all of your support throughout the pandemic, and to really recognize the extraordinary work that our team has done. It really is amazing. Those of you who have gotten the chance to see that up close because you've needed our services, and if any of you have had to be hospitalized or perhaps even hospitalized for COVID, you've had a chance to see the extraordinary work that our team has been doing, and I'd be remiss without recognizing them, at the beginning and thanking them for everything they've done and will continue to do. So with that as a background, let me kind of get to the punchline. And really the headline is Omicron. I'd like to thank you for, conducting this meeting virtually. I know that we've all gotten very tired of being remote and not having the level of personal interaction that we'd like to have in our lives, but I'd like to thank you for taking the step and doing everything that you can do to help, mitigate and manage really the transmission of this highly contagious variant. No surprise, as I show you the numbers, you're going to see that we've just had an explosion of COVID cases in our county and in the region in recent months, and that really is because of the presence of the Omicron variant. It is much easier to get. It is much easier to spread. So it spreads quickly, it spreads with more limited contact than the Delta variant. And importantly, our immunity to this variant is significantly lower without being boosted. So if you had your 1 dose of J&J or you had your 2 doses of Pfizer or 2 doses of Moderna, you were well protected against the Delta variant, but your immunity against Omicron is significantly reduced. And that is partly the reason we are seeing the level of spread that we're seeing in this community, is even people who are originally vaccinated, the rate of being boosted among those who were originally vaccinated, is not as high. And so that combined with an increase in socialization and activity, and I would say a high degree of variation in the amount of masking, mask wearing across the community is really what's driven this just amazing surge of cases locally. So it probably comes as no surprise with the record-breaking number of cases that we've had. It's impacting individuals, it's impacting businesses. We hear a lot of stories about businesses that are struggling because of the number of employees they have off of work due to COVID, and just continuing to operate as usual has become a challenge for many local businesses. And certainly the healthcare system has been feeling the strain. We really go back, and I'll show you this in a couple of slides, we go back to the middle of September of last year. So we've been at this now for almost 4 months. We've seen elevated levels of hospitalizations from COVID, and we're seeing other impacts in the local healthcare system, in particular, challenges with area nursing homes being able to maintain their level of staffing. And that's impacting our ability to discharge patients from the hospital who we would normally send to nursing homes for follow-up care. So we've been in an extraordinary stretch where we've had high numbers of COVID patients combined with patients who we would normally discharge from the hospital, but we're not able to do it. And that combination of things on any given day, if you go back a few weeks, that number could have been as high as 80 patients that we have in the hospital that we don't normally have. And that takes staff resources. It consumes our time and effort to take care of people who need our services who normally don't need them. And that's impacting our ability to do other things. And you've been reading about that. Our wait times in the emergency department have been unusual. We've been having to keep patients in the emergency department when we don't normally do that. We've been having to postpone, much to our regret, surgical cases. And I would just say to you, it is agonizing for us to have to do these things because it's not the level of service that we are used to providing to the community, nor that we aspire to provide. But we've had to direct our resources to the care of patients who are either here because of COVID or who we can't discharge because nursing homes have not been able to take the volume of patients that they normally take leaving the hospital. So let me just show you a couple of charts. I like charts and graphs. This is the number of confirmed new cases in Center County going all the way back to the beginning of the pandemic. And you can see this month, and we're not all the way through the month, we've had more than 5,000 confirmed positive cases of COVID in Center County. Last winter, when we thought things were really bad, we were running between 2,000 and 2,300 cases. We're more than double that now. And last month was the previous high. So we've had the two highest months by far of confirmed positive COVID cases in the county that we've had all the way through the pandemic. That's the order of magnitude of how rapidly this has spread. So this is another way to look at it. This is the rolling average, 7-day average of new cases per day in the county. And once again, last winter, that was around a little bit over 100. It peaked at about 110. It peaked at almost 260 cases per day in the recent past. So once again, we are more than double the volume of COVID cases in the community. The good news is we've seen a little bit of a downward turn in the last couple of days, but we're still in the upper 100s compared to where we were when we thought things were bad last winter. So I want to say this graph looks better, but it is far from looking good. We are way beyond where we would like to be as a community with the volume of cases. That translates to the number of patients in the hospital. And so this is the average number of hospitalized COVID patients we've had each month going all the way back to the beginning of the pandemic. You can see that we had almost no COVID patients. Early on, things picked up last fall into last winter, died back down again over the summer, and we've been on an upward trend all the way into the fall. And last month was the highest month of average census that we've had all the way through the pandemic. You can see we were almost at 60 patients a day, and this month we're down a little bit, but we're still quite high. So that's how it looks on a monthly basis, and this is how it looks day by day. And so you can see that we had a big spike last winter, went back down into the summer, and now since last September, we have been running more than 30 COVID patients in-house almost every day back to the middle of September, a spike again to our highest levels ever. A few weeks ago, we died down a little bit, but we're still in the mid to upper 40s in terms of the number of COVID patients that we have in the hospital. So that's an overview. We are continuing to provide vaccinations in our practices for individuals who want to be vaccinated. We're continuing to offer monoclonal antibody treatments at the hospital, although the supply of the monoclonal antibodies is determined by the State Department of Health. And we are routinely not getting the volume of antibody doses that we would like to get to be able to treat the number of people that would benefit from that, but that's really under the control of the state. And so we're continuing to do as much as we can in that regard. I know many of you have read about the new oral medications that are available for COVID. Those are available through a physician prescription. They're being dispensed at local pharmacies. I think the supply of those is just starting to hit the market, so we're not doing those at the hospital, but they're available through a physician prescription. So if individuals, are interested in inquiring about that, the right thing to do is really to contact their physician. And we're continuing to do testing. So we have the drive-through testing site that's open Monday through Friday and Saturday mornings as well. And that's really primarily for symptomatic testing. The good news is that vaccinations and testing are more broadly available in the community and encourage, a lot of the local drugstores are providing both vaccination and testing. We have the AMI testing site, which has been a tremendous resource for people who are, really looking for walk-up testing. So I encourage people to access those resources. So I'll stop there. I'm happy to answer any questions or take any comments. Again, thank you for the opportunity and thank you for all of your support, especially for our staff who've really been going through an extraordinary stretch of time here the last 2 years and really appreciate your expressions of support for them. So happy to answer any questions.
Tom, thank you so much. Very timely. We appreciate the information. Information is how we're going to get through this. Patty Stevens, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I know it's hard to maybe have, but what's an average stay of a COVID patient in the hospital?
A great question. I would say the average stay is someplace between 5 and 7 days. Obviously, that really depends on their course of illness and the severity of it, but probably around 5 days is a pretty good overall average.
Thanks.
Mr. Gameister.
How many testing sites do we have operating in the county now, Mr. Charles?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that again?
Testing sites? How many testing sites do we have operating in Center County?
Well, yeah, so most of the local drugstores are offering testing. You have the AMI site. We're doing testing as well. And so we have a variety of options for people to take advantage of. I don't have the exact number, but there are a variety of different outlets for testing.
Mr. Chair, Paul, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Charles. Appreciate the presentation. Real quick question. Of the folks who are hospitalized, do you have a percentage of folks who are either vaccinated and or boosted? I think that would be of interest as well.
Yeah, so in the last half year, probably about 70% of the individuals who have been hospitalized with COVID are not fully vaccinated. So that would be people who are not vaccinated at all, people who are partially vaccinated. So about 70%. I would say this much to the group. We would not be having at all the magnitude of operational challenges that we're having if we were simply talking about fully vaccinated individuals who need to be hospitalized. Far and away, the numbers are those who are not fully vaccinated or unvaccinated. And that's really been a major driver of the volume strain on the healthcare system.
Any other questions for Mr. Charles? Pam Robb, please.
Thank you, Mr. Charles. My question has to do with how many patients or how many ventilators do we have at Mount Nittany?
Well, thanks for the question. We have been fortunate all the way through this that we have not faced a shortage of ventilators. We've not felt the pressure there of the number of patients who need to be ventilated running up against our capacity. And so that's been, I'll knock on wood. We've really not had an issue with that all the way through. So thank goodness for that. We've had significant ventilator capacity beyond what we've actually needed. And I simply hope that continues to be the case.
Ms. Williams, I see your hand.
Yes, thank you very much, Tom. You mentioned the pills that would be soon becoming available. Will that then stand in or act as a booster or a vaccination for those who haven't? Or is that only in addition to the first initial rounds and how does that really work?
Yeah,
Okay.
that really is more of a therapeutic treatment as opposed to a preventative treatment. So, those are, that really is just like any other prescription medication. If you're sick, it's a way to help treat, what you have. So, that's the right way to think about that. But thank you for the question. Good question.
Go Paul, please.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the presentation.
Yeah.
I was wondering whether among the 30% of the hospitalized population that is vaccinated, do you have a breakdown in numbers between those individuals who just got 2 doses versus those who were boosted?
Well, the majority of that 30% number, and I think that's the question you're asking me, is how would I break down that 30%? The majority of those are not boosted. And so I would say that when you really break it down, the largest number by far are people who have either not been vaccinated or been partially vaccinated, maybe meaning perhaps 1 dose of a 2-dose series. Then the next number would be those who have been fully vaccinated, and then the smallest number would be those who have been fully vaccinated plus boosted. So predominantly in that 30%, it is non-boosted individuals.
Okay.
That was
But then you don't have exact numbers though.
I don't have them right off the top of my head. I've looked at that, but I just don't have the numbers handy. But I can tell you with confidence that boosted number is a pretty small number.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question.
Any more questions for?
May I?
Yeah, that's Mr.
Okay. Thank you very much. Just one more question. I don't know if you're able to do this, but can you comment on the regional numbers or capacity as well? I think that may be of interest as well.
And just to make sure I understand your question, you asked me to talk about regional hospital capacity. Is that the question?
Just in the larger area, central Pennsylvania generally, say, from Danville to Altoona,
Yeah.
Hershey.
Well, that's a great question. The short story is that we are not in a unique situation here. We do compare notes on a regular basis with our colleagues in Lewistown or Huntington or Danville or Hershey or Altoona. And the picture that I laid out for you with Mount Nittany is a pretty common picture around the region. Now, that's been one of the very sobering things going through this, is we're oftentimes in a situation where we can help each other out and cooperate and do things to really, I'll say, back each other up. But in this latest stretch, we've all been challenged with the same set of things and been finding ourselves really stretched to our capacity and having to take similar steps in terms of, deferring surgeries and other things like that. So the regional picture is pretty similar. And, what we're experiencing here now in central Pennsylvania is not unlike a lot of healthcare systems have experienced across the country in periods of time. So if you track the national media and read stories, you're seeing stories very similar to what we're experiencing here locally. So thanks for the question. It's really a regional challenge, I would say, and has been one.
Any other questions for Mr. Charles? Yeah, Janet, go ahead. I see your hand, literally.
Literally, yes. I'm curious. I've seen various reports suggesting that people who are seriously ill, let's say you've had a heart attack or a stroke, or you have a seriously damaged limb, that those people are being held in emergency rooms and not given beds in the hospital. And that people who are in the hospital because they have COVID and have not been vaccinated should not be given priority. Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, we're a community healthcare system. We're here to take care of everybody, no matter their circumstance. And so I would say our job is to be available for somebody who needs our care, no matter how they, arrived at our door. And our desire is to be able to do the most we can do for anybody who shows up, which is why this is such a critical issue. To the extent that our capacity is being taken up by things that we don't normally do, it limits our ability to do other things for other people. So I guess my point of view is that, however you show up, for whatever reason you show up, we're here to take care of you. I'd love to see us at the point where things that can be prevented are able to be prevented, and people take advantage of those things. But we're here for anybody, no matter what brings them to our door.
Great. Carla Stilson, please.
Yeah, thanks. So the population 4 and under is currently unable to be vaccinated. Do you have any idea, probably not, when that will come forth? But I guess more importantly, is there anything we as local government can do to help support that effort once it does become available?
That's a great question. I don't know when that's going to be. I wish I did, because that's important. And I think, in general, what I would ask all of you as local government officials to do is a couple of things. Amplify the message. Do whatever you can to educate residents of your communities and municipalities. I think that's critically important, what you can do to amplify, what will help us get through this. Certainly that includes things like, as painful as it may be, masking, maintaining social distancing, getting yourselves vaccinated. I think anything you can do as elected officials to amplify that messaging and encouraging people to make the right choices for themselves, that is tremendously beneficial in our work. And so I would say, that's probably the best thing you can do when that does become available. Getting the word out and encouraging people to take advantage of that would be a huge help.
Great. Ms. Robb and then Ms. Williams.
Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Charles. We needed to hear that. Our public needs to hear that. My question is, as the numbers were at the peak, was that any time that Mount Nittany was about to shut down? We hear and we fear that hospitals, once they reach a peak, have to shut down. And then patients have to be averted to other areas.
Right.
Has there been that point that we need to be worried about?
Well, again, thank you. That's an excellent question. And you probably saw in the local media that we did reach a point a number of weeks ago where the volume of patients that we have, and that was right around that time where we were really, not too far off of 80 patients in the hospital, we did request that area EMS services consider not bringing patients to the emergency department if it was clinically appropriate for them not to do that. That was a request. We didn't shut the door. We didn't put a lock on the door. We didn't say you can't come. We never close. We're always open. So that's an important message, is that nobody should ever think that we're closed, but we do have limits to our own capacity. And there was a point at which, for a short period of time, we said to area EMS services, if it's clinically appropriate to not bring somebody here, then we would like you to consider doing that. That is an extraordinary step for Mount Nittany Medical Center. I'm not sure that we've ever had to take that step, quite frankly, in our history. We're oftentimes the hospital that area hospitals depend on to bring ambulances to if they can't accommodate what we're doing. And so it was a wake-up call. It was disconcerting to find ourselves at that point. We hope we don't get back there again, but my message to all of you is we're somewhat at the mercy of what's happening in the communities around us. We're here to take care of people, and what happens in the communities has a direct effect on what we're able to do for everybody. So, I think that's an important message you can carry back to your municipalities as well.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Ms. Williams.
Yes, just one other question. As far as the accuracy of the testing and people coming in, there's been talk about having a mixture between Omicron and the common cold, or Omicron and the flu, or strep throat. And so I guess I'm wondering, if people are coming in, are they actually being diagnosed with what they actually have, like whether or not it is actually the flu, the strep throat, or a common cold versus COVID or a variant strain? And are they really, are we protecting ourselves adequately? Because I know that some of those numbers might be mixing, and I'm just wondering how are you separating those numbers during cold and flu season?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So I would say the short answer is yes, we are. I think the slightly longer answer is when you look at the testing numbers, one thing everybody should realize is the testing numbers you see reported are the testing numbers that are being really recorded by the Pennsylvania Department of Health. So there is a bunch of testing going on. People are doing their own testing. They're getting the at-home tests. None of those results are being reported. So to the extent that people are doing their own testing and they're getting positive results and they're not following that up by going to a site like ours or the AMI site, there are a bunch of positive cases probably that are never actually making it, into the official reporting. Likewise, there are probably a bunch of negative cases that are not making their way into the reporting as well. And so it's probably safe to assume that there are actually even more COVID cases in the community than what are being reported in the testing data. But we are certainly testing folks when they come in and they have presenting symptoms that could be COVID or something else. We're certainly testing them to make sure that it is in fact COVID as opposed to a common cold or something like that. I would encourage everybody, because the symptoms can be confusing, if you think, it's just a cold or it may be something like that, I'd encourage you to get tested. Because in this environment, you don't know, and it's better to be safe probably than make an assumption that you don't have it.
Thank you.
Mr. Abrams. Mr. Abrams. You're muted, sir.
Probably better at that point. But I don't know the management at the hospital, but I do know that all people that I've encountered have just been excellent. They're devoted to doing the best job they can for people, and I think it's a tremendous effort that is being put forth by your staffs, and this would be staffs also in the doctor's offices and things like that. Just a personal note.
Elliot, thank you for that. As I said at the beginning, and I'm really here on their behalf. They've been doing this now for almost 2 years. If any of you ever unfortunately get the chance to observe this up close and personal, the intensity of resources and care it takes to take care of people with COVID, it's no small undertaking. It's exhausting for people. It's tiring to be doing this. People are here to do it, and it's their mission to do it. But it's draining on our team. And so thank you for recognizing that. We're incredibly proud of them. And I really ask all of us to do what we can to keep ourselves safe and keep others safe to make life better for our team. It's really doing something for them.
Any further questions for Mr. Charles? Seeing nor hearing none. Sir, thank you so much. If there's any way possible, please extend to your staff the appreciation of the Council of Governments and the residents of the Center Region. We hope that we can call upon you again in the very near future to deliver a much rosier report. But should the need arise, I'm sure you'll make yourself available to share more good knowledge for this. Referencing
I'm happy.
Go ahead, sir.
I'm happy to come at any time. I already have that rosy report written. It's in my files. I'm just waiting for the date to be able to give it. So I'm ready to come at any time.
We will gladly receive that. Just a note, another accomplishment under Chair Herrmeister last year was that the COG approved a regional resolution urging for masking and social distancing. That hasn't gone away. We need to protect ourselves and stay vigilant to protect our friends, family, and loved ones. Unless there's anything else on this subject, we will move on to the next agenda item. That is the appointments to external bodies. The first of those is the COG Solar Power Purchasing Agreement Working Group, and I believe Joe Bigelow is leading this one out.
Good evening. Can everybody hear me okay? Yep. Okay, good. Going back about 2 years ago, Mr. Peter Buck, who was also on the Zoom conference call or the at the general forum meeting tonight, and I discussed the starting of a solar power purchase agreement working group, and we pulled together, with the help of many other places, about 15 entities interested in pursuing a solar power purchase agreement. We've done a lot of work on this, even with regards to the pandemic. That did shut us down for about 18 months. But we're up and moving again. We've got an RFP accepted, and we started consulting work with the State College Area School District as our lead entity on that project. Now, in November, Mr. Buck was voted in as a school board representative, newly elected, and he is now on the he is now a school board representative for their solar power purchase agreement. For the school board on the solar power purchase agreement, which means he is no longer COG's rep on that same working group. So we have discussed this with the executive committee, and the recommendation came forward to nominate Ms. Danelle DeCorso to be the representative for the Center Region Council of Governments to the solar power purchase agreement working group. If anybody has any questions, I'm sure that there are multiple people here who can answer them, and probably better than me. So thank you very much, and I hope that Danelle will be happy to work with us.
Move the motion.
Questions for Joe?
No, make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion. Do I have a second? Pam, are you making a second?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I think this is a fairly easy one. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion carries. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Dr. Buck for one, starting us on this path. It's pretty clear good things are going to come out of this. And also to thank him for his continued efforts, even after he left municipal government and on behalf of the COG. So we appreciate that, and we wish you the best of luck in your new position on the school board, and look forward to working with you through this as well. In addition, I see Ms. Del Corso is now on. Any words for us, Danielle?
I just want to thank everyone for even thinking of me. I appreciate it. I love working with all of you. So having some connection to COG remaining in my life is going to make me happy. So I hope to do my best to fill Peter's shoes in representing the COG and bringing information back that is pertinent.
Wonderful. Thank you for stepping forward to help us. Continuing on in the agenda, the PA COG municipal appointment. Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The PA COG is short for the Pennsylvania Association of Councils of Government. And the PA COG is sort of like the COG for COGs. It's an association of councils of governments within the Commonwealth, and they work to promote the things that we're doing in this COG in all of the COGs across the Commonwealth. The Pennsylvania Association of Councils of Governments has a board of delegates, and for many years our own Bud Graham from Harris Township has been the COG's representative to that board of delegates, and the executive director has been the alternate. So tonight it's recommended that we consider reappointing Bud to be our representative to the board of delegates, and I will continue serving as the alternate. Mr. Graham has agreed to do that for at least one more year. So if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or Bud can probably do a better job of telling you about the COG, PA COG than I have done.
If I'm representative, I will tell you that.
Well, go ahead.
The people that are uninitiated, the Pennsylvania Council of Governments is sponsored through the boroughs, the State Boroughs Association, and they are we share office with them in Harrisburg. There are approximately 50 council of governments in Pennsylvania of varying degrees, even as small as maybe purchasing salt together or as far as we go, doing all of the services we offer. I will say this, that there was a large beaver butler in Pittsburgh, was almost as large as us, but not quite. And we are the benchmark. So I think Mr. Norbert will find out over the years, we set the standard for COGs, and they will come to us and how to form and how to formulate and how we do this. So we are more or less the guide for the Pennsylvania Council of Governments. Recently, we did get a position on the Governor's Roundtable, but with the situation, it's been a couple of years since we've been able to do anything. So hopefully, within a year, we'll be able to get back to where we were, representing the state. I actually was the president of that once, maybe twice, I think. It's a great organization. All I found is that it is all across the board, from maybe 5 municipalities buying salt to where we are. So it's good. We need to promote it, and I think that we actually have a seat on the Governor's Roundtable. What that means, I don't know, but we're starting to be recognized as an organization rather than just a bunch of good guys getting together once a month. So that's what, and I'll report on, if we do anything soon, I'll report on it. If I'm known.
And Bud was kind enough to share that he would be interested in potentially mentoring someone in future years.
Well, yeah, somebody's gonna have to.
And
if it
so
continues.
we're gonna plant the seed right here, right now. If anybody's interested in serving the Council of Governments in Harrisburg.
The meetings, the sessions are open to anybody that wants to come. We usually have one here in the spring, and they have one in conjunction with the borough's meeting in the fall, but I don't know how that's gonna go this year, so. There's nothing much going on for a while.
Sure. If someone is comfortable, we would like a motion from the general forum to appoint Mr. Graham to the Pennsylvania Association of Councils of Government.
So moved.
Ms. Stilson, do I have a second? Mr.
Second.
Abrams, I see. Mr. Barlow will second. Okay. I've been correct. Any further discussion?
Good question.
Yes, sir.
We're also appointing Eric as, that's the
As
whole
the
motion.
Yes.
Just wanted to clarify that.
Thank you. Any other questions? If not, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Driving on, pool slide refinishing project. I believe Pam is leading this out.
Yes, thank you. I am here with a little bit of a rough voice tonight. This item in your pack has been through several committees this month, including Facilities Committee, Finance Committee, Executive Committee, as well as the Center Region Parks and Recreation Authority. We have gone to bid twice on pool refurbishment for our slides at both pools. And unfortunately, both times the bids have come in a little bit above where we expected them to be. On this last round, we reduced the scope of the bid project to try to tighten it up a little bit. And they did still come in over budget, totaling $84,700. What we did as a team through the finance director, our facilities coordinator, and Todd Roth and myself, is we sat down to come up with a plan to slightly revise our capital improvement program for 2022 in order to try to complete both pool refurbishment projects, as well as keep most of the facility condition assessment recommendations in the plan. And lucky for us, we started out this year with a very good, strong fund balance after Joe completed end of year calculations, and we were able to keep most of the projects in there. We did relocate some funds that were set aside for concessions to a different capital budget, which also gave us a little bit more freedom within that budget. So in the packet, I believe it's item 12A, you have the bid tabulation sheet. Excuse me, which shows 8 Blocks Maintenance Company LLC as our low bidder for both Park Forest Pool and Welch Pool slide refurbishment. And then you also have item 12B. This shows you the updated plan for the capital improvement project for 2022, budget year 2022. And you may or may not be looking at that. I could share screen if you don't have it in front of you, but again, we've been able to keep both bid projects in and still do our parking lot project, our refurbishment of our restrooms project, and a few other projects in the budget. The authority did pass a motion last Thursday, contingent on the decision of tonight's general forum vote. And that's a very similar motion that is drafted for you in the agenda. And I'd be glad to answer any questions about this if you guys would like more details on some of these projects or what our intentions are.
Questions for Pam? Looks like we're gonna give your voice a break there, Pam. If not, there is a motion included in this evening's agenda. Would somebody be willing to make said motion?
Sir, I'll make that motion.
Mr. Harden, go ahead.
That the general forum is recommended by the facilities, by the facilities, finance, and executive committees, approve the amendment to the pool's capital budget to repurpose funds for the water slide resurfacing project, and furthermore recommend that the Center Region Parks Rec Authority take the same action and award the bid for the project.
Very appropriate for a member of our facilities committee to make that motion. Elliot, you're seconding?
I'm seconding, and I'd also like to thank Pam for bringing us news about the swimming pool here in the middle of January.
You're most welcome. You're most welcome.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, we'll call the question. Our friends from Half Moon will be abstaining in this vote. All those in favor, please say aye. 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 All those opposed, please say no. Motion carries. At this point, we'll go to the university report. Ms. Sharina Young.
Thank you so much, Rich. Good evening, everyone. Good to see you in the new year. I have a little good, a little bad. So following up on Tom Charles, of course, our numbers have increased as well. If you want to know what our positivity rates are, you can always go to our dashboard. I usually send that out, but by now you should probably know it. I also wanted to just emphasize that we are still requiring students to test. And we've had to crack down a bit. So students who are not testing as they should, if they have not uploaded their vaccination status, they're required to test. And if they have not, they will not be able to log into Canvas to do their work. So we've been having to make sure that they abide by the rules and the policy in place. Also, staff, student, and faculty are able to order at-home COVID tests. So that's been occurring. I got mine last week. So that's a good thing that people are able to test at home. In addition to that, we do have another vaccine clinic coming up. So CVIM will host a free COVID vaccination clinic on January 26th from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. at the BJC. It is open to the community, so students will be able to register first, but it is open to the community. We do have students that are getting their boosters there, and the public can as well. So you do have to be 12 and older to go to that clinic. So just FYI on that. Also, an update on Dr. Ventilators coming up. So there'll be an article in Penn State News discussing the timeline of her transition. So we're very excited about that. But a lot of what we're working on is that transition and, of course, managing COVID. So we're getting through it just like the community the best way that we can. So that's all I have for this evening.
Questions for Ms. Young? Seeing nor hearing any. Next item is the State College Area School District Report. I don't believe Ms. Brandt is on, but is Dr. Buck still on? And anything he would like to share with us?
I am. Thank you very much, Chair. It's good to see you all. I'm the alternate for the State College Area School District, so I'm the alternate rep to the COG. Gretchen Brandt is the primary. She is not here tonight because she had a different engagement, but we are happy to be able to continue this relationship with the COG. I want to congratulate all the newly elected and the elected re-elected officials, and congratulations to Ms. Del Corso for her appointment to the Solar Power Purchase Agreement Working Group. It'll be nice to see you there. I have two updates for you all that, well, the first is certainly will require a little bit of coordination, and then the second is just to give you an update as parents, family members, and community members regarding our health and safety plan. So the school board and the district will likely engage a consultant in the coming year. We'll put out a request for proposals regarding the elementary school boundary zone study. So as you know, as the population shift and capacities within elementary schools, they can change. And so much like we do a census for the country and then we do redistricting, we need to do that for our elementary schools so that we can make sure that our schools are up to the capacity of service that they need to be, and that we are serving our the population of children as well as we possibly can, as fairly as we can, and so forth. So what that might require, or what the COG, the Center Region Planning Agency, individual municipal planning offices, the Center County Metropolitan Planning Organization could see are requests from the school district and that consultant for demographic information, transportation, logistical information, things of that nature, so that we can have the best boundary zones that we can. The second item to share is about our health and safety plan, and I just want to reiterate from the district, from members of our board and the health and safety team, what Mr. Charles said earlier, and that is that vaccination and boosting are the best lines of defense regarding COVID-19, and we encourage all people who are of age to get vaccinated and boosted to do so, because it protects us and it helps our kids stay in schools. That is the goal of the State College Area School Board. We want our kids learning safely in person in schools. So we had an update at our last board meeting earlier in January, and we have from our health and safety team, who includes Dr. Huggins from Mount Nittany Health, Dr. Drass from Geisinger, Dr. Ferrari, the director of the Center for Infectious Disease Dynamics, and then members of our administration and our nursing staff, that we are keeping kids in school fully masked, and that all people going in the school have to be masked basically at all times. And this is really because it's best for our kids to be learning in person in schools. If you think about a fifth grader, they're 10 years old, and the last 2 years are 1/5 of their life. And the emotional and personal, social emotional fallout for them is, can be pretty significant. And so we want them to be growing up in as normal an environment as possible, understanding that we're under a lot of stress. We also know, and this comes from Dr. Ferrari, that research has shown that there is very limited transmission into the community from schools. So he said, as it stands, the benefits of in-person learning far outweighs the evidence both to kids and the rest of the community with what we know right now. So Dr. Ferrari would also be the first person to say to us if the situation were otherwise. So once again, I just reiterate that if you're able to get vaccinated and boosted, please do so. Wear a mask, physical distance, and do your part so that we can have the healthiest community that we can. Thanks for that. I can take any questions if need be.
Questions for Dr. Buck? I see Bob Strauss's hand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Buck, I would like to start by saying congratulations on your election to the State College Area School Board. Had a difficult weekend. I attended the funeral for Brendan Copenhagen, excuse me, over the weekend. I just wanted to suggest that the school board, I mean, obviously, in your words, you addressed that we have to worry about everyone's mental health during these troubling times. And I think I would just like to see the school board take a look at the services they offer to the students of all grade levels and the availability of those services, because I know we have those services available to us, but the kids often don't know that they have those services. And I just can't help but feel that what happened with Brandon could have been avoided if, I'm not blaming anyone, but I just feel like, you know, as a community, we dropped the ball on this child and the child that was his best friend who took his own life the year before. So I think what we really need to do as a community and as the school board, we really need to assess where we are with truly our mental health services for the students, so we can make sure that this type of tragedy hopefully never happens again. So, thank you.
Thanks, Bob. Peter, anything you'd like to respond to that?
Yeah, I would, as a father, you know, and we have many parents here, the loss of a child is one of the most traumatic and awful things that can happen. And I know that the night that I found out, I was right across from my own son, and I gave him maybe a bigger hug than I usually do. And I think that our board shares very much that sense of loss and a real, you know, feeling of it, not just a feeling, but a desire to do better. Because when a community loses a boy like young Mr. Copenhaver, it's really hard, and we have to assess what we've done and what we can continue to do. The administration, Dr. O'Donnell, has been in touch with folks from campus, from Penn State, who have come into the school. I have no good answer for what has happened, because it has, but we will do everything that we can, including coordinating with organizations like the Jenna Marie Foundation, who really try to work with kids to empower them and create those kind of protective measures at every place that we can, knowing that this is an absolute tragedy. And thank you for bringing it up, Bob.
Yeah, thanks, Peter. I'll just add that just one of the things that made me want to say these words was because my son was actually friends with both Brandon and forgive me for whoever's watching, but I can't remember his name, the child that took his life the year before.
Yeah.
My son mentioned to me over the last couple of days that he felt like when the first boy took his own life, that it was a day or a weekend of grieving, and he felt like everyone just moved on, including the school district, the high school. He said he did it himself, and I think what we need to do is just make sure that this doesn't happen again. It doesn't, just the moving on part doesn't happen again. It doesn't get glazed over, because obviously there's a problem that a lot of these kids are feeling that they're under so much pressure with not just school and the things that all of us felt when we were in school, but now you have the compounding issues of a pandemic and everything else that's going on in the world these days. So I just really would like to make sure that, Brandon's memory, it serves a purpose and we can make sure we get the proper help for any kids in the future who need it, so. But thank you. Thanks, Peter. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Bob.
Thanks, Bob. Any other questions for Dr. Buck? Peter, I appreciate this new role you're in. I look forward to working with you. We'll do good stuff.
Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, if anyone has any questions at any time, please direct them to Gretchen Brandt and me. We'll do our best to get them answered or get you in touch with whoever can.
Great, thank you. Continuing on, Executive Director Report. Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just note that there are 3 items that are in the packet. And for new members of the General Forum, each month we do put together an agency report that highlights a lot of the accomplishments and statistics for each of our COG agencies, and there's a 7-page report with some wonderful information as well as photos and other data that will hopefully be helpful for you each month, and I'd be happy to try and answer any questions on the items in that report. Thank you to Scott for putting that together each month. Also in your packet is a list of accomplishments from last year, some of which were noted earlier. They're organized by agency, and the agency directors and myself would be happy to answer any questions on those this evening. And finally, there's a list of potential work tasks and potential general forum items that are likely to come up later this year that you can refer to in your packet. Some of these are projects that will be ongoing throughout the year, like the rollout of the new municipal code software, and others are projects that will likely appear on your agenda at some point later this year. We've noted the months that we expect those to be coming forward. Many of those items will roll through COG committees on their way to the general forum as well. So we hope you'll take a look at that list and see if there are any questions on any of those items. I'd be happy to touch base with any of the new members if there are questions, and any of the agency directors and myself will be happy to answer questions on either or any of these items tonight. Otherwise, if there are none, I'll let you move ahead, Mr. Chair.
Thanks. Questions for the director? Seeing nor hearing none. Agency director reports, Eric? We have none for this evening. Next up, we go into our committee reports. First up, Executive Committee, Mr. Barlow. Maybe. I will report that the Executive Committee arrived at the agenda that we have gone through this evening. Moving on to the Finance Committee, that other guy, Frank, is here, and the information included in our agenda properly covers the items that we tackled. The big one coming up will be our priority tasking. Hopefully your members of the Finance Committee are coming back to their bodies and asking and confirming what they view as priorities for the Finance Committee, and we'll be finalizing those in our March meeting. Next up is Human Resources, Mr. Strauss. You're muted, Bob.
I am muted. Sorry about that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to welcome the following new members to the HR Committee for 2022. Ms. Tiara Williams from Ferguson Township, Mr. Sutan Magruder from Patton Township, Mr. Divine Lipscomb from State College Borough, Mr. Dustin Best from College Township, and returning to the board is Nigel Wilson and myself, Nigel serving as vice chair. I'm looking forward to serving with the members of the committee throughout the year. We had our reorganizational meeting on January 12th, where we set our meeting dates, had our annual review of the COG articles, agreements, and guidelines to meeting etiquette, and discussed a number of potential agenda items that should be considered for the following year. But otherwise, that was it. So I'll yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great. Questions for Bob? Terrific. Parks Capital Committee, I do not believe Ms. Nittany is in with us. Pam, anything you could share from that meeting?
Nothing else to share. Everything that is in your agenda packet is what happened. And we'll be probably discussing some capital items coming up in the next few months.
Great. Questions for Pam? Great. Continuing on, Public Safety Committee, Mr. Takak.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe the synopsis in tonight's agenda does a fine job summarizing our meeting, but I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Mr. Takak? Seeing or hearing none. Facilities Committee, Ms. Hartle.
Yes, good evening. I have nothing to add that's in the agenda. And if anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Questions for Ms. Hartle? Rolling right along. Land Use and Community Infrastructure Committee, Lucy, Mr. Haymeister.
In addition to what's in the agenda, I would let you know that the following are members of our most astute committee: Eric Bernier, College Township; Ron Serralo, Half Moon Township; myself, Chair; Lisa Strickland Ferguson, Vice Chair. Patton Township, I did not make a note as to who was appointed to that one. Who got? Eric, you know who was appointed?
Elliot Abrams.
Elliot.
Oh, Elliot, okay, thank you, Elliot. And State College Borough, I think, is Jesse again. And Neil Sullivan, Penn State University.
Go ahead, Justin.
Correction, Denny. You're looking at Lucy. Deanna Bering is the appointment to Lucy.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Conclude.
Good. Continuing on, Climate Action and Sustainability Committee, Ms. Whitman.
Yes, I have nothing to add to the most excellent reporting that was presented in our agenda. I would like to make a personal welcome to new members of the committee: Gopal Balchandran from the borough, Hillary Caldwell from Ferguson Township, and to Tiara Williams, who is the alternate from Ferguson, who came to our first meeting. So I look forward to working with all of you. I would also like to take the bully pulpit to point out that in the other business in your agenda under matter of record, just to remind everyone that the Solar United Neighbors Solar Co-op that has been launched in Center County now has 91 members. We have a goal of 100, and the last meeting for new members to get information will be this Wednesday, January 26th at 7:30. All of the information is in the agenda. So I hope you'll be pushing that out in your respective municipalities any way that you can. Thank you very much.
Questions for Betsy? Again, Betsy was referring to item E in the other business matter of records. So thanks for the good plug there, Betsy.
Thank you.
Continuing on, other business, we have a numerous amount of matters of record. Eric, is there any that you would like to bring to the attention of the members?
Just two items I draw your attention to in the matters of record. Item G, coming up a week from today, is our Zoom and Learn for newly elected members of the General Forum, but anybody who would like a refresher or would like to attend as well, please feel free to join in. If you're not able to be there, we will record that session and make the recording available to you at a later time. And then also item J, please be aware, and if you see any of these staff, please congratulate the staff members. We celebrated anniversaries last year. They were celebrated and commended on their service to the COG during a holiday celebration in December. So some of them are on the meeting tonight, others you will probably see throughout the year.
And I think it's always worth naming folks who do good things. Our 5-year award folks are Phil Collins from the library, Jeff Martin from Code, Bobby Royer from Code, Tam Salakankis from Parks. Our 10-year award folks are Dave Barnett of Parks, Mark Bogle from Planning, Jim Carpenter from Parks, DJ Lilly from Library. Our 15-year folks are Greg Couch in the Planning Department. Our 20-year awards are Jeff Hall from Parks, Rob Wagner in Code, Molly Hetrick in the Library, previously Parks, Wendy Hufford in the Library. Our 25-year folks, Colleen Fisher at the Library, and finally our 30-year award, Maria Burchell, Library. Thank you all for your service to the region and the COG. Does anyone have any other matters of record that they would like to bring to the group's attention? I see none. Note that the calendar is updated at the website along with several repositories of information. The website just keeps getting fuller and fuller, and it's a great tool and resource for all of us. If there is nothing else for the good of the agenda, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Have it.
The Chair Emeritus has moved. I will second. We are adjourned. Thank you all.
Recording stopped.